Good evening. The Prime Minister has rejected claims from his own party that the UK government is sleepwalking towards industrial devastation unless ministers step in and save the Grangemouth oil refinery from closure.
Keir Starmer dismissed calls from one of his own MPs to nationalise the site and prevent the loss of 400 jobs. Our Westminster correspondent Paris Gertsayanis has been speaking to the Prime Minister and joins us now. And Paris, there's pressure on the UK government to do more.
That's right, Kellyanne, and it's coming from the new Labour MP for Alloa and Grangemouth, Brian Leishman. He told STV News that the £10 million offered by the UK government since those job losses at Grangemouth were confirmed, quote, won't touch the sides. And he said unless the UK and Scottish governments get together and come up with a plan to save all the jobs, they'll be letting the whole of Scotland down. It's pretty scathing stuff for a new MP to aim at his own party.
Ultimately, what we need in this country is nationalisation of the refinery.
If they continue to ignore your calls on that, then, are they letting the people of Grangemouth, the people of Scotland, down on this?
Absolutely, but the local community is dependent. In fact, all of Scotland is dependent on this. When we look at industrial devastation that we had 4 decades ago with the mining community, something similar is now playing out at Grangemouth. The miners 4 decades ago kept Scotland warm. Now, the Grangemouth refinery workers, they keep Scotland moving.
So if the government don't step in, the Labour government is letting people down?
Yes, of course. Of course it is. It's letting the constituency down, it's letting all of Scotland down.
Well, I put that criticism to the Prime Minister when I spoke to him earlier in the Downing Street garden. Here's what he had to say. Your local MP, Brian Leishman, told us this morning that unless you step in, nationalise the plant and save the jobs, Labour is letting all of Scotland down. He says you're sleepwalking into industrial devastation.
I don't accept that. We are absolutely focused on the transition that we need to clean power by 2030. Scotland plays a huge part in that. That's the case we made into the election. We've got those Scottish MPs now. I intend to deliver on the promises that we made in terms of the economy, in terms of the next stage towards transition, and to make sure that the good jobs of the future are in Scotland. Hence, GB Energy being headquartered in Scotland as a sort of statement of intent, if you like.
Prime Minister, you cut winter fuel payments without consulting the Scottish Government. Is that what you meant by a reset of the relationship, by working constructively together?
Well, I have reset the relationship. That's why the first place I went...
You cut the funding by 90% for that policy.
Hear me out. The first place I went to after the general election was up to Scotland to meet the First Minister to say we want to deliver for Scotland, and we'll continue to work in that way because I think that's what...
You couldn't pick up the phone before making this cut.
Well, look, we inherited a £22 billion black hole, unaccounted for under the last government, and we've got to take decisions accordingly. But I'm not really going to take lectures from the SNP about managing the economy after the mess that they've made in Scotland and the responsibility that they bear for the decisions that they have taken. So it's all very well pointing fingers and blaming, but actually the SNP is responsible for the financial mess in Scotland.
Prime Minister.
Now, they need to take responsibility for that and set out what they're going to do about it.
Prime Minister, those who are feeling the pinch might wonder, you earn £167,000 per year. If you need help buying your wardrobe, why shouldn't pensioners on £13,000 a year get help with their heating bills?
Well, let me tell you what I'm focused on. I was elected into government with a strong majority and mandate to bring about change. And the change that I promised, that I'll be judged on, is whether living standards have improved and people feel better off. Whether our economy is growing in all parts of Scotland, all parts of the country, the United Kingdom.
And there's an election in 18 months in Scotland.
Energy up and running to develop the jobs of the future.
Will people in Scotland actually feel that their lives have gotten better within 18 months, which is when Anna Sowell wants to be First Minister?
We've already started taking the first steps. We're getting investment in. Great British Energy already up and running and making decisions.
So we're making the legislation for Great British Energy hasn't been passed yet.
No, but we're already we've partnered with organisations already in relation to GB Energy. So we're taking the steps with national wealth funds.
Since you came to office, polls in Scotland have only gone one way. How much do you care about making Anna Sowell First Minister?
He will make an excellent First Minister. Scotland voted for change. That's why we've got strong representation here in the Westminster government. I'm determined that that change will happen for Scotland.
So, no sign of any further support for Grangemouth, no sign of any remorse from the Prime Minister. over revelations about the huge sums that he's received in donations in terms of designer clothes and other freebies, £100,000 more than any other MP. Indeed, I found Keir Starmer relaxed and confident, despite the huge challenges his government faces. But of course, it's Scottish Labour that has to face the voters first.
All right, Paris from Westminster, thank you.